Recording starts now. Okay. All right, here we go. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of D. Haynes and Doc Fantasy Sports Podcast. We're here live, going to be talking about Week 10, and we'll have our sleepers, our starts, our sit-ems, and just talk about Thursday tonight's games, as well as the Doc Will See You Now, featuring Dr. Newport, for the injury report. Doc, what do you got to say?
I think we just jump in.
Yeah, you
just
think
jump
so?
in. What do you say?
Think so? Let's do it.
Let's
Who
jump
you
right
got
into
for your first sleeper?
Sleepers right away. I'm in.
Oh, let's do it.
Okay, so first off, I have Mr. Taylor Heineke. So Falcons have a good matchup this week. I think it's one of the more interesting games with the Cardinals, just because the Cardinals are getting some people back. I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting than Cardinals games have been as of recently.
Absolutely.
But I believe Taylor Heineke's going to put up some points. So he recently, let me pull up his game log. So against Minnesota, he had 268 yards in the air, 21 for 38. So doing pretty good. And against a Cardinals defense that's struggling, I think it's if you don't have a quarterback this week, especially this week with every good team sitting out, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, just
Hurts.
Go down the list. I think he's a good start for you and will get you about 14-ish points at least, which can help you win. So.
Yeah, and I believe Drake London as well is coming back this week, which will give him another solid target at wide receiver. So, yes, I agree that is a great sleeper, especially in bigger leagues. All right.
My only hope,
yeah.
I want to add one more thing with that. My only hope is that they stop doing the crap with Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
It's getting stupid. And same with Bijan. Like, their best players, they don't use, they don't throw to. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. So if Taylor can have Kyle Pitts on the left, Bijan to the right, and Drake downfield, gives you options. Please just do it.
They are missing out on the Bijan opportunity, man. I'm just going to say that. We won't go into that, but that's another topic.
Yeah.
But, yeah, all right. So for my first sleeper I got is Tyler Boyd from the Cincinnati Bengals, okay? Now, T. Higgins, has I think officially today, has been limited, or has been saying he's going to be out this weekend. Jamar Chase, he's dealing with the back issues. He's not going to be 100%. He's still questionable for this weekend. So Tyler Boyd, he's one of those guys that's kind of kicking off with Joe Burrow right now. The last 3 games he has 2 touchdowns. He's going to be getting a lot of targets, especially against this Houston defense. Now, I will say Houston's secondary has been a little better this year, but I feel like it's just going to be a little too much with the Bengals, especially with Joe Mixon running the ball up the gut. That's just going to be a given anyways. So we'll get with him a little bit later. But Tyler Boyd right now, I think he's a true sleeper in some of these bigger leagues. So just watch out for him. If he's not picked up and you need a wide receiver at your flex option especially, pick him up.
Yeah, and this goes down the list that we talked about at the beginning of the season. The same things that frustrate me every year with fantasy football and people that play fantasy football. This falls right into that trap because Bengals start bad every year. They have since Joe Shiesty came into the league, and they just pick it up and they become the best team in the league. I'm sick of people just this week being like, oh, yeah, I think the Bengals are the best team in the league. Them and the Ravens are hand in hand. Yeah, I've been saying that for a long time. Like, they have the talent. All it takes is Joe Shiesty to get hot, and it's done.
Yeah. That'll be a great game next Thursday, by the way.
And it happened last year with Patrick Mahomes. Everyone was jumping on the Bills train, thinking that he was the best guy in the absolute world, and Patrick Mahomes had one of the best seasons he's had yet. So, anyways, get off that soapbox. Okay, so my number 2 is Ty Chandler. So if you don't know about Ty Chandler, he's one of the only left backup running backs for the Minnesota Vikings. So Cam Akers obviously is hurt, Madison can't hold a ball. So what does that leave? I'll answer that question for you. Ty Chandler. So it's really just a matter of volume. You have a new quarterback in the system, and you need volume running backs. Madison can't do everything himself. Ty Chandler is going to get a chance to shine. And what we've seen in the last couple seasons is when people get their chance, they normally make the most of it. So all it takes is Madison to fumble once, and I think Ty Chandler will get the majority of snaps, and it'll be over.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll lead to my second sleeper of the night, and that would be Deontay Johnson. Now, I feel like a lot of guys are sleeping on this man. I get it; he doesn't have the most consistent QB, I will say, but he's been one of the best wide receivers. He's been like one of the best wide receivers this season after coming back from IR. He has the 6th most fantasy points among wide receivers. And I know they're going against a Green Bay defense with possibly no Jair Alexander this weekend. So there's a good chance that he might have a breakout game this week. I feel like if you're in a bigger league, confidently you can start him as a wide receiver 2 or flex option. I mean, here I'll just give you his past three games. And how many fantasy points he's had. He's had 12.9, 16.5, and then last week 22 with 1 touchdown. Now, I will say that was his only touchdown since last year. But give and take, he's been injured. So I think this guy is going to be a great force to deal with, especially with their ace cornerback out, possibly. It's still up in the air, still questionable. But if he's not out, I think he's going to have a heck of a game.
No, he definitely will, and he's going up against the Packers, who suck. Their secondary sucks, so he's going to have a big game. I've always liked George Pickens as well. He's just a big dude, and Steelers win games for some reason this year, especially when they should not win games.
It's kind of annoying.
It is very annoying. My third sleeper is Michael Wilson. So, as you know, Kyler Murray's coming back for the Cardinals. James Conner is coming back more than likely. He was a half participant today.
Correct. Yeah.
But they only have one more running back in the system at all. So they need him to come off the bench. They need him in the game. They need him starting. So not only getting Kyler Murray, but getting a good run game back with James Conner, because I don't know if anyone remembers, but James Conner was killing it before he went on the IR.
So good.
He one of the best value picks in fantasy at the time, because he was going like 8th round and he was pulling first round numbers. Just crazy dude. So if he gets back into the same flow of things, that's going to open up the wide receivers, and the wide receiver that I'm talking about is Michael Wilson. So Michael Wilson, 3rd round draft pick out of Stanford. He has had a couple games in the 9s in fantasy points. He had one game at 27 fantasy points. Awesome game, 2 touchdowns. But he's getting around like 60, 70, 80 yards a game, and that's with a bad quarterback. So getting Kyler Murray, someone who can spread the ball and run, it'll only benefit his game. And I want him to do well. He's a stud, so I hope he does.
I mean, he's averaging, looking at his stats here, he has 6 targets, 5 targets. He's getting good target share, and that's even with Dobbs. But I feel like once Murray comes back this weekend, he can get out of the pocket and scramble, those scrambling drills. He's going to find a way to get open too. So, him and Brown both. So I think it's a great pick as well. All right, my last sleeper. It's weird to call him a sleeper, but DeAndre Hopkins. I feel like he absolutely loves the fact that Levis is the quarterback now because he gets all the targets now. I don't know how you can't like that if you're him. In big leagues, I'd still consider him a wide receiver 2, flex option as well again. But he's also going up against a struggling Buccaneers secondary, which, as you saw, C.J. Stroud absolutely tore them apart last week, throwing for over actually threw 470 yards, right? Five touchdowns. Yeah.
Also he's had 2 games with Will Levis. In the first game, they both went off together. In the second game, Hopkins still got 10.5 fantasy points. So if that's the floor, fine with me. That is fine with me. 10.5 floor is great. So.
I mean, the only thing to really say is Levis, since he's been a starting QB, Hopkins is, it's been his favorite target. So, to not have him in your starting lineups this week, if you have him in bigger leagues, you need to, at least for a wide receiver 2 flex option, like I said.
Yep, absolutely. So that moves us into our startums and situms, and I'll start with the starts. The first start I have must start Michael Pittman the second. The Colts they have a good matchup against the Patriots, 2-7. They suck. It's going to be a good game, especially with Michael Pittman pulling high teens the last couple weeks. 20 points, 16, 18, 14. Just he's getting good numbers. He's getting in the end zone recently. He gets a lot of targets with my man, the mustache and the mullet. So he's one of his favorite targets. Josh Downs as well. But Michael Pittman's just the more elite threat than Josh Downs even. So it's a must start, especially against the Patriots, who the worst.
100% agree with that. Like you said, he's been the number 1 target for the Colts for the past, since week. Let's see. Honestly, his target shares, the lowest target he's had is against Cleveland at 5. So, his numbers will, just his targets alone will give you a lot of fantasy points. All right, one of my other starts, for sure, I know he struggled a little bit in the beginning of the year. A lot of people were thinking about dropping him, trading him away. But right now, I would say if you kept him, congrats. That would be me as well. I'm happy I kept him. Joe Mixon, maybe.
And in our league. I have him in our league.
Yeah, there you go. He's going up against the Texans defense that are dealing with a lot of injuries right now. So I feel like since he's been on a roll these past few games, he's just going to stay. He's going to stay right there and possibly even have a higher ceiling than he did before. I see him running all over the Texans defense, especially with not all their starters being in. So I'm just going to leave it at that. The rest will be history. But Joe Mixon, definitely start him if you have him in your leagues.
Yep.
Small, big, whatever.
If you were in our league, you will remember I tried to trade Joe Mixon so many times at the beginning of the season because I don't like Joe Mixon. Yeah, I just don't like him. It's just a personal thing, okay? I know he's going to do great. But I wanted to give people Joe Mixon, and no one even considered the offer, and I got the worst offers in the world for Joe Mixon because they thought he was just washed up and trash.
Correct.
You don't realize that the Bengals come back every season.
Single year.
And so now I am 7-2 in our league and will benefit from Joe Mixon being my starting running back. So thank you to everyone in our league for being stupid with your players and enjoy your losing records. All right, second start for me. I have Mr. Zay Flowers. If you look on ESPN, you look on Fantasy Pros, you look on all the other fantasy websites, Zay Flowers will be on their sit this week.
Sit him, yep.
I have a different thought with Mr. Zay Flowers here.
Let's hear it.
They're going up against a great defense. Probably one of, if not the best defenses in the league right now, the Browns. And the Ravens are the best team, in my opinion. Okay. So, when the going gets tough here against this really difficult team, and they might get down early because that's what the Ravens sometimes do here when they play against amazing teams. What do you do when you're behind? You got to throw the ball. Who are you going to throw the ball to? The fastest and best person on the field, Zay Flowers. So I'm betting on the fact that the Ravens will kind of go down early with the Browns or just be held in check, punt the first 2-3 times and then kind of get sick of it and start realizing that they need their crazy QBR quarterback in the hundreds each game to throw the ball instead of just running it. Because what are you going to do when Myles Garrett comes at you from one side? Like, you're not going to run away from him. Like, you can't.
Try,
so
yeah,
you can give it a try. So a lot of people are saying sit him just because he hasn't gotten a ton of targets the last couple of weeks. Actually, last week he only got 1 target. I think that's a fluke. That's an outlier. If you look before that, he was getting 11, 8, 6, 7 targets each time. So I think it's going to bump up. I think you can expect about 7, 8, 9 targets this week, and probably, in the low to high teens in fantasy points.
Yeah, and
barring a touchdown.
And I think the only reason last week he kind of had a rough patch is because he was also the number 1 wide receiver going into the game. Odell Beckham Jr. is still trying to get on the healthy side. Now I feel like Odell is finally to the point where he's almost 100%.
He's a bum.
I know. I'd agree.
He's a bum.
So he got a lot of the targets last week because they were all over Flowers. But I feel like Flowers will have another breakout game this week.
Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles and is like, I'm fine. 2 days later, Odell Beckham's been nursing the same injury for 7 years. Like,
Correct.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he finally got his first touchdown of the year last week.
Yeah, and he's seen in clubs. He's seen all these plays. He's a bum.
Yep.
He's a bum. He doesn't actually want to play. He just wants to clout.
All right, for my second stardom, I have Christian Kirk from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, he is going against the 49ers, so a lot of people are thinking, 49ers defense is really good. Nah, not as of late. Opponents have averaged the 4th most pass attempts against the 49ers this year, and the guy that you got to look up for this matchup, his name is Isaiah Oliver for the 49ers. He is the weakest link out of the cornerbacks, or I can't remember if he's cornerback or free safety, either way. He's going to be secondary, yeah. He's going to be lined up against Kirk this week, and that's an advantage to Kirk. So, Oliver, with being the weak link, Kirk has the team's best at 520 yards receiving so far this year. He's a touchdown machine, like I've always said, inside the 20-yard line. So look out for Kirk having a great game against a struggling 49ers secondary right now.
Yep. Yeah, so that I don't have much else to say about Kirk. It moves into my third start, and that's we already kind of talked about it, but James Conner.
Yeah.
He's coming back. I strongly suggest you keep your eye on him tomorrow, Saturday, because about 4 p.m. is when all of that will come out about whether or not he's going to play. But like I said, their other running backs are hurt. They have 1 guy left and 1 guy on the practice squad. So they're down to the bare bones on running back. So they need him to start. So I think they're going to rush him a little bit faster than maybe even he really wants. But it's going to be good, especially in fantasy with Kyler coming back. It'll spread him out a little bit. And like I said, if you remember, his average draft position was 62 overall across all leagues. 62. And when his first 3 games, he got about 100 yards each game, and had a touchdown in 2 of them of the first 3, just scoring like crazy. He gets the ball in the red zone. He gets the ball for third down opportunities. He is the guy they go to. And if you remember James Conner when he took over with the Steelers, he's just a bare knuckles, head down kind of guy. I love watching James Conner play, so I would absolutely start him if he's on the field.
I don't know how he drops so much, man. I mean, he was a fantasy monster last year too. So
he always is. He's a sleeper.
He is, and the fact that a lot of people sleep on him like that, it's crazy. Did you have him last year too for your fantasy team? I feel like you did.
Mm-mm.
You didn't? I thought you did. Mm-mm. All right, for my next sleeper, Aaron Jones. It's about damn time. That's what I like to say. Jones is finally almost back to 100%. And the reason I'm like this is because I'm finally able to start him. I have him in one of my leagues, and man, oh man, I have been upset to the point where I've almost just dropped him off my team. Now, last week against the Rams, Jones had about 20 rushes for 73 yards and a touchdown. He was also targeted 6 times and had 4 receptions for 26 yards for a total of 17.9 fantasy points, his most this year so far. And he's going up against a Steelers defense this week that's given up the 7th most fantasy points to running backs this season. I'm expecting another 20-plus touches for Jones this week, and hopefully, even some passes in the air, short drop-down games to him. But I think fantasy managers that have Aaron Jones can finally say, hey, look, he's finally back in the starting lineup. RB2, flex option possibly in bigger leagues. But, guys, finally, Aaron Jones is back. Let's hope he has another successful week, which he should against, like I said, a very poor fantasy point to the running backs this season.
Yeah,
Steelers.
Yeah, dude. Aaron Jones, another one of those people that for some reason they never put him high on their running back list, and he's always there every single year. But people just, again, sleep on him. I don't really understand. They don't put him in the category of the Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey's on his own. He's on his own level. But that next tier, Aaron Jones is in that tier. I mean, he 100%
Absolutely.
is. That leads us into our sit-ems. And I think people will be surprised if you watch this show who my first sit-em is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of the matchup and because of what's happened recently. So my first sit-em is Mr. Alopecia himself, Joshua Dobbs. And that is because they're going up against the Saints. And I think he's going to get overwhelmed in this system when he plays them. He had a great, fantastic freshman game. I think he's going to have the sophomore slump this game, especially against, I don't remember who the cornerback is for the Saints.
Lattimore?
Not Lattimore, the on the other side. Whatever his name is, he's the number 1 cornerback in the league right now.
Why am I spacing his
He's
name?
above Sauce. He's above everyone else. But whatever he is,
I know
he's
who you're talking about, yeah.
And that's on the other side of Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
So Joshua Dobbs has a couple options, and that's to give it to either Hawkinson or Addison over the middle, or give it to a couple running backs that don't know what the hell they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's a lot of options there for him this week. Addison's going to be pretty covered. I think he's going to be pretty covered. So I think he's going to have a tough time, especially in fantasy, racking up those 23, 25-point games he has recently. And I don't think he's going to have a QBR of 102 either. So, yeah, I would sit him.
I was trying to find his name, but I can't find it. Oh, well. It's all right. All right. Another sit-em I have now for some fantasy managers. This guy has been giving you a lot of points this year. Now, the past 2 games have kind of been the other way around, including me. Now, unfortunately, we have a pretty big fantasy league, so I kind of have to keep him in this week, unfortunately. But if I couldn't, or if I had someone else, I'd sit him. Jakobi Meyers, Raiders, just not doing so hot right now. And they're going up against a Jets defense that has allowed the fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. And get this, guys, this is something insane. I think 0 touchdowns to the wide receiver position since week 1 against the Bills. 0. They are playing lights out. Unfortunately, their offense sucks, so they can't win games. But the Jets defense, man, they're stepping up, and it's going to be hard for Jakobi Meyers to go against. And I believe Aiden O'Connell, I believe, is starting this week. And I know he targets Adams more than Myers.
Why wouldn't you?
Yep, exactly. And I also believe the quarterback's going to be pressured quite a bit with the Jets D line, especially they're just going to overpower the Raiders offensive line. So, Jakobi Meyers, if you're in a big league, if you have to start him like I do, start him, of course. But if you have a spot to take someone else over him, do it, because this week I don't think is the right week for him to start.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. The Jets are great on defense. They're actually really fun to watch.
Yes, they are.
If you know anything about football, it's just they're a fun they're a fun team to watch in general, other than on offense when they try and let Mr. Pretty Boy have extra time in the pocket. It's really tough to watch.
Come on, Rodgers, come back.
But no, I completely agree. So moving on to my second sit, I have Kareem Hunt. So if you were lucky enough to get Kareem Hunt the last couple of games, bravo.
Correct, yeah.
You know, proud of you, proud of myself because I picked him up. He's gotten 16 points, 15 points, 14 points, 10 points, and if you notice, each number is getting smaller. Each number is getting smaller because he scored at least one touchdown in every single one of those games and 2 touchdowns in one of those games. So he's 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks, which is wild and will not happen. It will not continue to happen. There's 3 running backs that they use in that system every single drive. It just so happens to be that he gets in the end zone. It's not going to continue. He does not get enough attempts. He gets about low teens in the attempts. Recently, he's gotten 14s, but he's going to get outpaced by Ford. The coach even said Jerome Ford is their lead running back. He's going to get the most. So if you have Kareem Hunt, sell high right now, as I just did. So.
And I'd agree 100% with that. Like you said, Ford's going to get majority of the run, and they're going against the defense that's shutting that out right now. So, yeah, sit them or sell them, like Newport said.
Yep, I sold them.
We'll stay with the Browns, and my other sit them is Deshaun Watson. I mean, there's nothing else to really say much other than who they're playing against once again, going against the Ravens defense that's given up the fewest fantasy points to QBs this season. So, I mean, that's all. One sentence is all you need for that. I mean, there's nothing else to really say other than the Ravens defense is going to be shutting them out. If you have Amari Cooper as a wide receiver, that's another one that's possibly going to struggle this week due to the fact with the Ravens defense. So, it's just the Ravens right now, I feel like Newport said, is probably one of the best teams in football. And I can honestly see them making the Super Bowl this year. Heard it here first, folks. But, yeah. Bench them.
Interesting little talk you had there.
It is.
I don't have much to say about that one. Going into my third sit, I have Jordan Love. So we got an interesting game last week with Jordan Love. Went 20 for 26, had a QBR of 115, but yet only had 14 fantasy points. So as we've seen, Jordan Love, fantasy-wise, is dependent on whether or not he gets into the end zone. And when we talk about the fact that he's playing the Steelers this week, it just doesn't happen. The Pittsburgh's allowed 11th fewest fantasy points per game to quarterbacks, and especially the touchdowns. They're tied for 7th fewest through the air. So they're very tough to play against for some reason. No one knows. Steelers are weird. And every single game, TJ Watt does something that changes the dynamic of the game. So TJ Watt's going to mess him up, and it's just the rest of the game's going to be different. Jordan Love, hard to bet on for fantasy, hard to bet on in real life. If you're a Packers fan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you also have Porter Jr. as well, the rookie cornerback over there at the Steelers that's actually having a phenomenal rookie season. So
that's true. Yep.
That's another good reason.
I think Minka's still out.
I think so too, yeah. All right, my other sit, Jerry Jeudy from the Broncos. If you're going to pick up anyone for the Broncos, I'd go Sutton, not Jeudy, if he's ever open to get. But other than that, he's had no game so far this year with 85-plus yards, and he only has 1 total touchdown this year. So he's not very dependent when it comes to touchdowns or even yardage in general. And you think with having Russell Wilson as your quarterback, you think you'd be a little bit more you think you'd have a little bit more yards than that, but the way Russell Wilson's been doing this year so far, it's not been the greatest. Now, I will say he has gotten a little better after beating the Chiefs last week. I feel like that's kind of upped them a little bit, but the reason I mentioned the Chiefs is because I feel like the only reason they beat the Chiefs is because they ran the ball a ton and just wore them out. I mean, this is if I had to add one more sleeper to any of these guys, it would be Javonte Williams, their running back, because I mean he had 27 rushes last week against the Chiefs, 27, and his fantasy points I think were like 16, 17, something like that. But I feel like this week against against the Bills, they're going to be running the ball a lot more. They're not going to be passing the ball as much if they're smart. I feel like just coming off a Chiefs win, the way they beat them is they were running the damn ball, right? Run the damn ball. So yeah, I feel like if they do that again this week, they'll be better off, especially with the Bills kind of struggling honestly a little bit against the run offense. Not so much with the run with the pass defense. So I feel like Jerry Jeudy is kind of one to sit if you do have him. Maybe a flex option, possibly if you're in a big league, but I don't give him much points at that position. So,
yeah, I was hoping Jerry Jeudy was going to get traded at the trade deadline. I think Jerry Jeudy was also hoping he would get traded at the trade deadline. It didn't happen. I think there's a lot of good landing spots for him. I thought the Ravens would have been great. I thought the Colts actually would have been pretty good for him. I thought the Cowboys would have been dynamic and amazing, which, by the way, the Cowboys just added an XFL player, which I'm excited about. We'll see where it goes. He used to play for the Steelers. He made that hamstring catch a long time ago in 2015. Anyone remembers? Probably not. But, no, and speaking off Russell Wilson as well, I just feel sad for him.
mm-hmm.
I think he obviously should have stayed in Seattle, or he should have just retired. He had one of the greatest careers ever, like ever.
Yeah.
He was one of the best. I don't know if you know this, but he has more wins in his first 7 seasons than anyone in history. So
I see that.
He's just a winning quarterback. Used to be, but now since moving to Denver, everything's different. Everything's changed with him, and it's sad because I really liked him. The 2013 Seattle Seahawks were like my favorite team, other than the Colts with Dallas Clark and Peyton Manning. Other than them, that 2013 team was amazing with Cam Chancellor, and they played Peyton Manning and messed him up. That was fantastic. It was a great game. It was an awesome game. But no, yeah, we can talk about now a little bit about Thursday's game because...
Wait, there was a game Thursday? I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. The Panthers versus the Bears. I don't know who I need to call. I don't know who we need to contact to talk to them about primetime games. But good Lord, what do we do? Why? A total of 4 people logged in for this game. And the games this week, I'm sorry, but for some reason, the NFL commissioner decided that all the best teams should go on by the same week. Yes. So the best game of the week is going to be the Cowboys destroying. And it's just going to be the best game because the rest are just going to be trash fumble games. Like, it's just horrible to watch. Anyways, Bears beat the Panthers, and Tyson Bagent threw for 162 yards, went 20 for 33 with a passer rating of 73. And Mr. Bryce Young himself went 21 for 38, 185 yards with a 68 passer rating. Bryce Young's done terrible, especially in fantasy, and especially when you consider the fact that he went first overall and the Mr. Number 2, C.J. Stroud, is killing it in a horrible team, horrible system, horrible everything. He's killing it. The Texans should sell T.J. Stroud and get as many picks as possible from the team that they sell him to. You heard it here first. Just sell him, trade him, get a ton of picks. Just a ton. I mean, I think the Cowboys should take it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be
So
nice. Yeah, no, Thursday night's game, dude. It was. If you like field goals and you like kicking, it was wonderful. A lot of field goals in this game, but nah, it was one of those games you kind of knew going into it that it was going to be a snooze game. I'll say just because of how boring it was. Um, but yeah, I mean, there. Hey, I will say there was a punt return that was fun to watch. Um, First one since 2017 for the Panthers, but other than that, we have nothing else to really talk about with the Thursday night's game. Bears won 16-13. That's all you need to know.
yep. So that moves us into the injury report. So we'll just go ahead and run down this list and talk to you real quick about a couple injuries. We have James Conner, as we talked about. Look at look at the updates tomorrow about 4 p.m. See if he's going to play. I believe he will because Emery DeMarcado is out with a toe injury. Good Lord. Zach Ertz is still on IR. So look for that. Moving to the Falcons, let's see. We got no one of interest on the IR or out this week. Moving into the Baltimore Ravens, Marlon Humphreys is questionable. Other than that, good to go. Buffalo Bills, Micah Hyde is questionable, and Stephon Diggs is questionable. Diggs is dealing with that back injury. Dawson Knox is on IR, obviously, so start Dalton Kincaid if you have him. Carolina Panthers already played. Don't worry about it. Chicago Bears, same. Khalil Herbert, IR. Thank goodness for the guy I'm playing this week that thought he was playing and kept him in. Thank you. I appreciate that. Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, again, that back. It's questionable. So we'll see what happens there. But as D. Haynes has said, T. Higgins is out. So if you have Tyler Boyd, throw him in. Going to be the second option at least for this game. Could be the first. Cleveland Browns. Let's see. We got Marquise Goodwin out. Nick Chubb obviously out. Hilarious that even comes up. If you watch that, it was just horrible.
Yep.
Getting absolutely wrecked. Cowboys. Vander Esch is still on the IR from his neck. Looks like that cowboy collar did nothing. Denver Broncos, no one of note. Detroit Lions, Gardner Johnson's on the IR. Everyone else pretty healthy, which is great for a Lions team. I'm looking forward to that game as well. I'm coming off the bye. I think they're going to do well. Green Bay Packers, Jair Alexander is doubtful. Possible, but doubtful for his shoulder. The Texans, Damian Pierce is out, and Stingley Jr. is also out. So look to those options. Colts, Alec Pierce is questionable, and Josh Downs is questionable. If both of them are out, start Michael Pittman.
Yes.
That will be a fantastic option. Jaguars, Zay Jones out. Rest. Nothing to worry about there. Chiefs, good to go. Pretty healthy team. One of the most healthy teams right now. Raiders, again, pretty good to go. Chargers, Joshua Palmer out. Mike Williams out on the IR still. Rams, Kyron Williams obviously out. Matt Stafford's obviously out. So I believe they're starting Mr. USC. Is it true?
Who?
What's his name? He went to the Panthers. Sam Darnold.
Sorry, I wasn't. The Rams?
For the Rams, I believe Sam
Or is
Darnold.
it Carson Wentz?
Oh, Carson just got signed there. That is right.
Sam Darnold thinks on the 49ers.
Okay. So
yeah, Carson's
Carson
there.
Wentz.
They just signed him. Yep.
That'll be interesting.
Yep.
It'll be an interesting game. I have to start that one. Vikings, T.J. Hawkinson is questionable. Cam Akers, his Achilles. So if you saw that, he's gone. Patriots have a whole list of people that I've never heard of out. No one cares. If you're a Patriots fan, you're not on the right podcast. Um, sorry. Um, the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back sooner than later.
I agree.
I really do. I believe in it. Whatever witch doctor medicine he has, I'm here for it. Um, Eagles, Dallas Goddard, Goodell, doubtful. Jalen Hurts is actually questionable. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be bad.
By the time the
He's
game
on an
rolls
off.
around.
He's on an off
Those
week.
Steelers, Minka Fitzpatrick is out. Pat Fryermuth is on the IR. 49ers, Trent Williams is questionable, which is a big one
That is big.
for them. That's
He was
a big
out last week.
Yep, the ankle. Um, so that's a big one.
Especially against a Jacksonville defense that can rush the quarterback a lot with Josh Allen.
Yep, not too much more to talk about from the other couple teams. So
yeah, and if you wanna, we can move on to who we pick this week and see how we do. I'll keep track of it this time so we can actually know for sure who we picked.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I'll put these down. But all right, I'll run through it here. So at 9:30, the first game of the day out in Germany would be Colts and the Patriots. I am going to be picking the Colts on this one just because I'm a Colts fan as well as I hate the Patriots. But it's also the 2-7 Patriots. The Patriots are not doing too hot this year, and we have Jonathan Taylor that's about to, I think, have a great game as well as Michael Pittman as well.
Colts.
I picked the Colts as well. There we go. All right, next.
You can bleed me dry if I ever pick the Patriots. I don't care if they have every good player in the league. Not going to happen. I'll lose the bet on purpose.
Yep. All right, I picked our pick for this one just because I have a feeling on who you're going to pick. Browns at the Ravens. I picked the Ravens.
I will take the Ravens.
Okay. I figured. I just think it's just going to be too much for the. I'm not going to say the Browns are not going to have great defense against the Ravens. I think they'll put up a fight, but towards second half possibly, I think it's just going to be too much for them, and the Ravens are just going to outpace them.
Yep.
All right, 4-4 Texans at the 5-3 Bengals. Who would you like to pick?
See, I think this is one of the more interesting games, and I do think it's going to be decently close. Give me Bengals. They're hot.
Bengals.
And they've won 4 straight. If Jamar Chase is in, it's too much.
Yep. And I'm going to pick Bengals as well. I just feel like there's going to be too overpowered for the Texans, and I think the Texans will have a hangover game from last week, and they'll just kind of not come out to play as much as they should. 5-3 49ers at 6-2 Jacksonville.
Go ahead.
I am actually going to be picking Jacksonville on this one.
I wanted you to go first.
Yep, I just feel I think it will be a close game. It might come down to a field goal. It might come down to a touchdown. But I just feel like Jacksonville is going to come out on top on this. Let alone they have home field advantage. I feel like it's kind of hard to win at Jacksonville, as the Cowboys found out last year. It's just, and the Colts, I can't tell you the last time they won at Jacksonville. Even with Peyton Manning, they still couldn't win there. So I feel like Jacksonville's just going to come out on top. And I think it's just going to be too much in the air for the air game. And yeah, I say I think it's going to be 10 points or closer in that game. So I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way.
Give me the 49ers.
Knew it.
I want the 49ers because they've had a bad string of games, a bad 2-3 string of games, and Deebo Samuel comes back. They've had some rest. They're going to be hard to beat. I think if Brock Purdy gets back to his check down offense, they're hard to beat. And Christian McCaffrey has scored, 20 straight games or something like that?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, yeah.
It's absolutely insane. So the 49ers are going to take this.
Alrighty, this one I think is going to be an interesting pick between both of us. 5-4 Saints at the 5-4 Vikings. Who you got this time?
I'm going to take the Saints.
Saints.
Yep.
I will say these Saints as well. I just think their defense is going to be a little too much for Josh Dobbs that hasn't been familiar with the team as much. Now I know I say that, but last week he had a brilliant game. But a blind squirrel can find a nut, every now and then. So we'll see. We'll see how this week goes, and if he does good, then you can come back and say, "Hey, told you so." So
I will say the Saints play the best ball every year when they start getting this weird offense going. When they get this like weird, no one knows where the ball's going, not even the offense kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because when you get Taysom Hill going, it's weird.
Correct.
It's a weird offense because you have Alvin Kamara to always check down to somewhere, but then you have this guy that just puts his head down and will get you 6 yards minimum every time he touches the ball.
Yep.
And he's scoring now. He's getting 2 touchdowns a game, and it's scary. So,
well, and you also have to be cautious too. I mean, think about the Vikings defense. Their secondary right now is not the hottest, and
they don't like the run either.
Correct.
So,
and Derek Carr, believe it or not, actually plays better away than he does at home. And Chris Olave, I feel if you have him, you better be starting him this week because I think he's going to have a heyday against this secondary.
Derek Carr likes to drive to the other. Play.
All right, 3-5 Packers at the 5-3 Steelers.
Steelers. They're going to take that. It's too much for the Packers. Packers suck. Let's hear you say Packers. Come on. Come on, say it.
I'm going Packers.
You're going to bet against being in Pittsburgh too?
I'm going with the Packers, baby. Aaron Jones
Aaron
Jones is coming out, baby. I have to jump on the train. Just because I've been waiting. I just been waiting. He's going to lead it. He's going to lead it, hopefully.
Can't wait.
But
I can't wait.
I'm not a big Packer fan in general, but I'm also not a Steeler fan in general. So
he is. He's a big Packer fan.
Oh yeah, totally.
He named his dog Lambo.
What? I don't have a dog anymore.
He said what?
But yeah, I'm gonna pick the Packers. That's gonna be my upset of the week. Will it happen? 50-50. We'll find out. So I don't know. It'll be hard for them to win, but if Aaron Jones has a good game, I feel like it's possible.
Yep.
All right, 3-5 Titans at the 3-5 Buccaneers.
Give me the Buccaneers.
Bucks.
It's at Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Titans are horrible. I think Will Levis needs a little bit more time. So
I would agree.
Give me the Bucks.
And I'm gonna go Bucks as well. I just feel like they're just gonna be too much, especially with White in the backfield the way he's been playing. I honestly think he's the top 10 running back right now in the league. I don't know. You get him out in space, he knows what to do with the ball. So I'm gonna go Bucks as well. There's gonna be a little too much for the Titans this week. All right, 4-5 Falcons at the 1-8 Cardinals with Murray's debut.
Yeah, give me the Falcons.
Falcons, all righty.
Yeah, playing at Arizona means nothing. All 12 fans won't ruin your experience there. I think Kyler Murray needs a game. A lot of people have him on the stardom. He could have a big game, could do great. I think he's going to do great things for that team. He's going to spread them out better, but he needs to get back in the swing of things. I don't think he's going to run as much with his knee being the way it is. So, Falcons.
I'm going to go Falcons as well. I just don't think this is going to be the game for him. Yeah, he's going to have – I think he'll have a decent game still. But I don't think he's going to come out with a win on his debut. I think it's going to take another game for that to happen.
Yep.
All right, 6-2 Lions at the 4-4 Chargers.
Give me the Lions, baby.
Yes, sir.
Lions. I want the Lions to win.
I do too.
I like the Chargers.
I'm gonna go Lions
I want
as well.
the Lions to win. I'm just excited for them. Coming off a bye, they're all healthy. It sounds fun. Hopefully, they can get Jameson Williams involved.
Yeah, no, and is Montgomery coming back this week?
Montgomery,
Yeah,
David.
yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, even if he's not, I still think Gibbs could handle that, especially
Montgomery
against
is
the
not
Chargers.
on the injured list.
Okay. I think if you have Jared Goff, I think you need to start him if you don't have anyone else to start this week. The Chargers secondary, like I said before in previous shows, are doo-doo. So look out for St. Brown going off, and as well as some other wide receivers like Reynolds as well, and hopefully Williams. So,
Dude, Gibbs had some great games.
oh yeah,
Recently.
Gibbs, get him out,
I'm
dish
just
him out.
excited
Yeah.
about the Lions. I hope they do well.
Yeah, I think it will be a their defense is phenomenal. They had some hiccups with the Ravens, but it's also against the Ravens that are pretty hot right now. So Chargers, I just don't think it's going to be it's not going to be good enough for them to beat the Lions. All right, I'm just going to skip this one because I already know who we're going to say. Giants at Cowboys.
Give me Cowboys times a million.
Yep. And if you
Can't
got
wait.
guys, if you have any wide receivers from the Giants in your starting lineup, you're kidding yourself right now.
Sit them. Any.
Just don't even try it. You might say, "Oh, we might get lucky."
we'll just
No,
move
you're not going to
past
get
that
lucky.
one.
No, especially with no quarterback being able to play right now. All right.
These next ones will be interesting.
Yes. 4-5 Washington at 5-3 Seahawks. Who you got? Who you got?
You go.
I'm gonna go Seahawks. I just think they're gonna be too much. I know I have Howell as my starting QB in one of my leagues just because I have, I think Mahomes sitting just because he's on a bye week. It's going to be a toss-up, I think, for Howell. He's not the best when it comes to zone coverages. And the Seahawks, they damn near run zone coverage majority of the time. So we'll see how he deals with that. But I think the Seahawks are just going to be a little too hard to beat at home in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Seahawks. I think Washington had a good game last week after selling their defensive ends, which was surprising.
Yep.
But again, sophomore slump. I don't think they're going to come back and beat that, especially in the 12th man territory.
Well, and they struggled with the Patriots last week. So I mean,
yeah, it's just that they're the Patriots.
Yeah,
which you bet on.
I did. I will say that.
Just saying.
I know. I hurt myself to do it. But.
Then we can go to the Carrie Underwood game next.
Yes, 4-4 Jets at the 4-5 Raiders.
Waiting all day for Sunday night.
Who you got, Jets or Raiders?
Jets.
Yes, sir. I would say that as well.
Give me Jets. I really do like the Jets. I enjoy the Jets. I enjoy watching them. Zach Wilson had a bad game. Generally, he bounces back. So hopefully this week they fixed things in practice, told him to get the ball out quicker and opened up his options. Defense is strong, and against the Raiders, I think it's going to be overwhelming.
Very much so. Number one secondary, guys. I mean, it's going against should be one of the best wide receivers in the league, but just doesn't get thrown to as much.
Well, yeah, and their big boys up front are gigantic.
Oh.
And they're second and third in the league interior runs.
Yeah.
They're crazy. I mean,
Yep.
people, dude, I can't stand it. People dog on the Jets defense last week. They're like, oh, look how many points the Jets defense gave up. No, that's not true.
They had
There was
no
a
help.
punt return for a touchdown. The one touchdown, they were on the 3-yard line thanks
Yep.
to the offense.
You know,
Like, what do you expect?
they had
the
5
Jets gave up-
sacks.
Yeah, 5 sacks. The Jets gave up 10 total points that game, and I don't even think you can consider it that.
No,
so they did great.
I mean, if it tells you much, I mean, they got 9 fantasy points for their defense. So I mean, it shows in the fantasy points that they're doing well.
Right.
And
The
the
numbers.
Raiders offensive line is one of the worst in the league right now. So watch out, O'Connell. You might be getting sacked a few more times Sunday night. All right, moving on to Monday Night Football. 3-5 Broncos at the 5-4 Bills.
Bills, don't overthink it.
Yep, I am going to go with Bills as well. Josh Allen just needs to take care of the ball. But
Yeah.
I think they're going to be too much for a Broncos team that is coming off a huge win last week.
Yep.
They're going to have some blues this week, I feel.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so we got the picks in. We'll see how we do. Other than that, that's going to conclude our show for tonight. We will be back tomorrow night to go over some NBA leagues.
See, I'm excited. I'm excited for the NBA one because these games this week have been awesome.
Yes.
Especially the New York Knicks, and you'll hear me talk about it tomorrow. But I love them this year. They're so fun to watch.
I would agree with that. But other than that, guys, thank you for tuning in. This will be up on YouTube tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys, and have a good rest of your Friday night. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Deuces.
Peace.